Okay, and let's talk about Hamas. Hamas has now rejected an Israeli ceasefire proposal brokered by Egypt, according to Al Jazeera, and the plan included a 45-day pause and the release of all the hostages, as we cannot forget there are more than 50 still being held by Hamas terrorists. But you say Iran doesn't hold the cards. What about Hamas? What options are there for Hamas?
Well, their cards are getting weaker by the day as well. We just saw the French president meeting the Palestinian Authority leader, Mahmoud Abbas. They're talking about some kind of transition where the Palestinian Authority becomes the government in Gaza. Hamas's weapons supply has been stopped because of the Iranians, for the reasons I explained. Their leaders have been killed. Bit by bit, the Hamas position gets weaker by the day. And so, however, the Israelis said, well, you have to disarm as a part of the peace process. Well, they won't do that. They'll fight to the death. But unfortunately for Hamas, it looks like death is coming because they'd have no international support now without the Iranians helping them. So day by day, the Hamas position is weaker, and that makes the position stronger of the Israelis and of Hamas's opposition amongst the Arab states, which is almost universal now.
Finally, Michael, Ukraine, Donald Trump has blamed Zelensky for allowing the war to happen. Let's take a listen.
But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it, and Zelensky could have stopped it, and Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. He's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size, and then hope that people give you some missiles.
Michael, what's your assessment of where this is really at? It doesn't appear that it's going the way that Trump wanted.
No, well, that's complete nonsense. I mean, he shouldn't keep saying Zelensky started the war. I mean, patently, obviously, he didn't. So he seems to have this shocking blind spot in relation to Zelensky. The fact of the matter is that the Russians started the war. Everybody knows that. Trump is trying not to criticise the Russians publicly because he needs the Russians to come to the table and agree with a peace deal. We understand that, but it's not going as well as he thought it would go. The Russians might just wait him out. So he said he'd resolve it in one day. That was never going to be possible. That was more, a statement of hope rather than something he thought he'd achieve.
Of course.
But are those peace deals? Is the peace deal going well? No, not going well. And the Russians are being very intransigent. Nothing seems to be imminent in relation to that. So Trump needs to increase threats against Russia if they don't come to the table, not increase threats against Zelensky because he didn't start the war. And he'd be the first person who would want to stop it, but he wants to do it on reasonable grounds, and that's why, Trump needs to pressure the Russians more, and that's the reason it's not stopped because the Russians are holding firm. Gabriella.
Michael Kroger, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.